Coming right up, we have our partner content streamed in from Cambodia. So please sit back and enjoy this satellite event.
All right. Our next session is panel discussion titled Cambodian Financial Inclusion Outlook 2021 onwards. We have our moderator, Mr. Remy Pell, as a representative of iPay 88 and CAT, and who will also introduce our distinguished panel members. So let's begin, guys. Thank you.
Hello. Welcome to the World FinTech Festival 2020, Day 3. And today's overall theme is impact. Our panel discussion is being brought to you by Singapore FinTech Festival in collaboration with Cambodian Association of Finance and Technology, along with the National Bank of Cambodia, NBC, and the Association of Banks in Cambodia, ABC. We are currently live streaming on SFF platform, not only in the region, but around the globe. Let us not forget our local viewers in Cambodia as they're accessing us on Facebook Live. Just a reminder, if time permitting, we can address questions from the general public. So please send in your questions for a chance to win mobile top-up and a phone from marquee sponsors. My name is Remy Pell, Managing Director of iPay 88 Cambodia PLC. We're a licensed regional payment gateway here in Cambodia and headquartered in Malaysia. I will be the moderator for this session. Now, today's panel will focus on financial inclusion outlook for 2021. Today, I have the honor to introduce our distinguished guests who are notable business personalities in their respective industries. I am confident that the viewers will appreciate the vastness and the depth of experience that each panelist will bring to our discussion today. A warm welcome to the panelists. Please kindly introduce yourself to the audience as you are acknowledged. First of all, we have Mr. Or Sutirot, CEO of BC Credit Bureau of Cambodia.
Yep. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, my name is Sutirot. I'm the CEO of Credit Bureau Cambodia. So actually, Credit Bureau Cambodia is a private sector who are consolidating all credit information in Cambodia. We frame ourselves as the financial infrastructure who are supporting the financial service in Cambodia. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Manu Rajan, CEO of Wing Specialized Bank.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manu Rajan. I'm the CEO of Wing Cambodia. We are a mobile financial services company established in 2009, so 12 years running now. Yeah, so that's pretty much about us.
Great, thank you, Manu. Next, we have Ms. Frandara Kun, Chief Strategic Officer, True Money Cambodia PLC.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, viewers on Facebook. My name is Kun Frandara. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of True Money Cambodia. True Money Cambodia is a regional fintech company under the Ascent and Ant Financial Group. And we've been here in Cambodia more than 5 years, and pleased to be part of the panelists today, and look forward to the discussion. Thank you, Remy.
Thank you, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Sanjay Chakrabarti, CEO, Prudential Cambodia Life Assurance PLC. Sanjay, I think
there you go. Yes.
Yes. There you go.
Thank you, Remy. As Remy was saying, I'm the CEO of Prudential. Prudential has been around in this market for over 8 years now. We are one of the largest players. We have one of the highest number of customers. And what we do here is basically our drive to make healthcare accessible and affordable to all. And as we go through the discussion, we will see some of that. So very happy to be part of the panel.
Thank you, Sanjay. Next, we have Mr. Gir Boran, CEO of AMK Microfinance.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good mornings, evenings to everyone in different country around the globe. My honor to be here in this panel. I'm Boran, the CEO of AMK Microfinance Cambodia. AMK is one of the microfinance deposit taking institution which offer different financial products to Cambodian people. We particularly focus on low-income populations. Our reach is quite high in terms of geographies and customer base. We're working in over 90% of Cambodia with over 5,000 distribution network across Cambodia. And we again purely focus on low-income populations in Cambodia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Char Sopiep, SVP, Head of Products and Development, Aklida Bank PLC.
Thank you, Remy. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sopiep from Aklida Bank, PLC, Cambodia. And Aklida Bank established by the small local NGOs in 1993 and have been graduated to be the commercial bank and used to be the #1 bank in Cambodia. And right now we are set our project as the digital bank in Cambodia and in the region. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now that the formalities have been out of the way, let's get to the topic at hand. This first question is for everyone. If we look at the evolution of financial inclusion, it used to mean that we try our best to proliferate access to financial services to the most vulnerable people in our society who are prone to risk of poverty and social exclusion. However, now it's evolved to not only having access, but how these products and services have meaningful impact to individuals and businesses, and how they use these products and services to enrich their lives and spur economic growth. Can each of the panelists share your experiences of adoption or maybe a challenge of the drivers that mold and inspire your business plans when it comes to financial inclusion? Manu, can you start us off first?
Sure, Amy. Yeah, sure. Thank you. So Bing started in 2009, and when we started with an objective of using mobile financial services to drive up financial inclusion. So what happened was when we started in 2009, we were started as a pilot project by the National Bank of Cambodia and the ANZ Royal Bank, which is part of the conglomerate Royal Group of companies. We tried to onboard customers, the unbanked customers, into the formal banking fraternity, just like how a banker would try to do, and we failed. So we also jokingly say we are one of the first failed fintechs in Cambodia. So it was after ANZ Royal sold the company to the current shareholder, Royal Group of companies, that we realized the change in financial inclusion has to be predominantly driven from the customer behavior point of view. Now, creating policies, creating benchmarks, frameworks, it does help in making it safe, secure to transact. But if you have to change the behavior, and what comes in the way of financial inclusion is actually the customer self-confidence and comfort level in joining themselves into the formal financial ecosystem. So that's the biggest learning we learned and the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome when we started in 2009. So how we overcame that hurdle was by providing an aided digital transaction model, and which is the most celebrated agent banking model now. Now we've got about 8,600 agents in every nook and corner of the country who's providing convenient transactions, financial transactions for the unbanked population. So from that point of view, with about 11 million customers now, does it provide access to financial services to Cambodians? Yes, there is easy access to financial services to Cambodians if they prefer to, but only through the agent banking model. So that was the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome, to bring people on board the ecosystem and be able to identify that there is somebody who is making use of a certain financial transaction. So we use mobile numbers to do that. So 11 million mobile numbers every year is using it. In a 16.5 million population country, that is a large number with about 90, almost 90% of the addressable population using it. Now, there are more hurdles there. Now, this is an aided transaction model. Now, if you really want to drive financial inclusion by customizing financial products and solutions for these people, you actually want them to do these transactions themselves. You do not want to depend on the agent banking model always. So that's the next hurdle that we have to overcome. And in the 12 years of our existence, what we have learned is that it is customer trust, self-confidence, and use cases that come in the way of financial inclusion. Now, after that, so once that is taken care of, the next biggest hurdle we have to overcome is financial literacy. But that we will talk more about later. But when we started and when we wanted to drive financial inclusion, I guess these were the hurdles that we had to overcome. And in our opinion, Cambodia is a shining example of financial inclusion to the rest of the world, with almost 90% of the addressable population having access to easy access to financial instruments.
Yes. Great, great. Thank you for your comment. It looks like you started off with a challenge and then it grew to some adoption and you're taking off that way. Mr. Sanjay, I just wanted to, insurance is relatively new to Cambodia. How's that affecting your financial inclusion programs?
Thanks, Remy. As you rightly pointed out, in our minds, in our thought process, insurance really is not a big component of the financial inclusion drive as we see it today. But let me just sort of step in and sort of point out that the whole thinking is a bit flawed there. You have the consumer needs, you have the banking needs, and you have the investment needs, you have need for credit, you have need for payments, you have need for savings, and so forth. But until and unless you can remove financial vulnerability, none of this really takes off. People will not borrow if they know that if something bad were to happen, their family would be saddled with all the liability, that sort of a thing, right? So that's where we really come in to sort of address the need for protection. Now, historically, even though the industry is new, it's not all that new. It's been we've been around for 8 years or so. So historically, the focus has been on people, that particular segment that's making $400 a month sort of household income, which means a very large part of the country is not even being thought of as targets for protection products. We are trying to break that mold. So we are talking about bite-sized products that we are able to deliver off the digital platform. These are pay-as-you-go products, very, very targeted purpose, very targeted usage. We are working with our partners, our bank partners, Manu and Mr. Sophia, they're both here, to take these to the customers and in the remotest parts of the country. And as we go along, we will also discuss how even if people haven't yet become our policy holders, we are committed. We have sort of taken the pledge that we will drive healthcare and protection in the country. So we will talk about some of the features we've introduced in this market, which sort of empowers families and households to take charge of their protection needs, their health needs.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Sanjay. Bangla, True Money is a regional e-wallet. So are there some examples from maybe in Cambodia and also maybe some of the other countries that True Money operates in?
Yes, thank you, Remy. Aligned with what Manu just mentioned, we also faced the same challenge when it comes to, driving financial inclusion in Cambodia. However, There's 4 pillars that we are mainly focusing on, and this is leveraging from our regional experience, given the fact that TrueMoney Thailand have over 9 million wallet users as of today. So the 4 pillars will be digital identity. We are implementing eKYC, to overcome, and facilitate the pain point of the users. That's one example. Our platform is, to securely onboard users. I think also one of the roadblocks is digital connectivity. Having said that, feature phone are, excluding themselves from the opportunity, brought by financial inclusion. So I think, and this is good for Cambodia, is a good sign because everybody have a smartphone. So this challenge has been, addressed, and we've seen it with the adoption of our app usage. The third point is around ease of use. Frictionless. We're very emphasizing on user journey, and we believe that Cambodians like things to be simple, convenient. So within 3 clicks, you should be able to send money or receive money. So this is, all the best practice and the leverages that we're getting from, our regional countries where we're in, and we strive for. But with or without financial inclusion, we certainly, keep learning throughout the journey every day and improve along the way. Thanks, Remy.
Thank you. Next, Mung Sotirot, I just want to understand how CBC addresses the issue of financial inclusion from the credit standpoint. Yeah.
Yep. Thank Rami. In fact, I concur with what you have introduced, that financial inclusion is not only about access to finance, but it also needs to be have meaningful impact toward that accessibility. Actually, Credit Bureau Cambodia, we start with a challenge. We start with one of the big challenge that the industry facing is information asymmetry, which we can simply refer to the gap between the information from the lender and the borrower. In the industry, the borrower might not disclose the lender with the full information. And then the lender end up without full information, they might be exclude customer from that financial inclusion. So to fulfill that gap, Credit Bureau Cambodia was established in 2012 to be the key financial infrastructure for Cambodia. Actually, we do not provide financial service, but what we provide is the information. That information can be a part of, for example, credit report, can be credit score, can be monitoring service. However, that information is very crucial for the bank and microfinance to have the informed decision. Yeah. And we also observe that, for example, having that information accessed by lender and also disclosing the information of the borrower, we can build their prudential collateral. As a result, we can bridge that information gap. And we are also proud to say that as of now, we are not only serving the bank and microfinance, we are also serving the end user, which is the consumer also. And then what we are trying to serve them is to make sure that they can access to their credit report, they can review their credit file, to make sure that they can frame their behavior, to make sure that they can pave their way, they can be prepared for financial inclusion later on. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I'm just going to follow up with you on that. And I'm just kind of personally curious, is that, access to finance, you kind of need the identity, whether it's online or, with your national ID. So is the Credit Bureau developing new alternative ways to identify people and maybe provide a credit score in that sense, in the non-conventional way?
Okay, very good question, Rami. Actually, frankly speaking, in other bureaus, for example, in the country that they have the unique ID, it's very easy to identify people. You can use, for example, Singapore, you can use better SingPass, and then you can identify people very easy. Cambodia is a different perspective. If you look at the bank and microfinance, they use multiple ID. They accept, for example, the national ID, the passport, driving license, up to now, we have around 10 identity. So the power of CBC is that regardless of what identity they are using, at the back end we have our acronym in order to match people. I'm sure that, for example, we might use, for example, all the name, gender, date of birth, place of birth, a lot of things in order to back end can match people. So at the end, we just return the file matching to the FI only. And I'm also proud to say that when we start the bureau at the beginning, our matching rate is around 70%. Now we grow our matching rate to around 85%. So meaning that out of 100 files that we receive from the bank and microfinance, we can return at least 85%.
Great. Okay, Bong Sapir, how does ACLEDA address financial inclusion and how do you gauge your success that way? Bong, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Remy. As I addressed at the beginning, that ACLEDA Bank said ourselves that to be the digital bank, it means that we will provide all the bank service in a digital channel. Let me give a simple example that digital bank service can help to improve customer or social living standard. Is for example, if one customer need to pay their utilities like water, electricity, and let's say the rubbish, and when they pay one time, they need to, if without a digital channel, they must go to the office. Then at the time they must spend their cost to travel, their time to go, and with this, all are bearing the cost. And let's say one time, just $1. If we pay 3 types of item, it means $3. If let's say one customer need to pay this amount of money within 1 month, and if let's say 6 million people, so it's 6 million multiplied by 3. So at least we gain 6 million multiplied by 3 US dollars per month. But actually, to sell the digital service, it's not just only like that. The customer come to the bank office. They are not just only come to make a payment, but they come to make a fund transfers. They come to withdrawal, to deposit, to manage their cash. Like they want to come to take the to request for their card or to open their account. But with the digital channel, customer can do it by themselves anywhere, anytime, and the transaction will made instantly. And it is the effective that digital channel very helpful to help the people of better living standard and a way out of the poverty standard.
Yeah, thank you, Bong. You mentioned payments, you mentioned funds transfer. Bong Buran, if we look at our financial inclusion discussion, it would not be complete without mentioning Bakong, our new backbone payment and settlement infrastructure. And Bakong is a key solution for the promotion of financial inclusion, as it's the universal first steps to enter the formalized ecosystem. Everybody needs to make a payment. So how does AMK embrace Bakong and to support your financial inclusion programs?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think before probably I touch on Bakong particularly, I want to also, I think, highlight it. I think in terms of financial inclusions, I think we need to see it as a roadmap. I think rather than as something had been done or achievement, because different people would have different needs within their life cycle. Secondly, we also need to know, how do we actually be able to get, people to use multiple services, which I think enable, to improve their financial management and lifestyle. I think as we see in Cambodia, I think two predominant success is payments and probably lending, credit. We can say yes. I think majority of Cambodians basically now can actually access payment through different banks, financial institutions, fintechs, company. Credit the same. The outreach in terms of credit are so large in Cambodia. A lot of banks and microfinance working in over 90% of the village. So which means, everyone in Cambodia basically can access formal financial services. I think one thing which is missing is the interoperabilities between all the player that will help to reduce the cost because I think if everyone keep going to the same village, visiting the same customers, providing different services, the costs that we incur are so large, and that I think would not basically good for us as the financial service provider, but also not good for a customer because at the end of the day, the cost will pass to the end user. So I think Bakong, which is just starting, we have to actually do a lot more to embrace the success of this platform, is to allow, I think, all the players in the sectors to be able to work together to deliver service to the end user at a lower cost. And that, I think, would, number one, reduce the cost to the end user, which will improve their financial condition. Number two, would include more people who probably don't want to pay the cost because it's so expensive, now to willing to actually do it because the costs are actually a lot less. Plus, I think the availabilities or accessibilities of those point of services are actually a lot more because we can collaborate and share our resource to serve those customers. So to me, to actually reach to that goal is two things. One is infrastructure, which we have to continue to improve further. Second is the willingness and collaboration between all the players to actually offer that services to the end user at affordable cost and at a better, easy, simple, and with wider accessibility point to the end user.
Thank you. Mr. Sanjay, just wanted to get your input on how Prudential would embrace Bakong in terms of for the insurance industry.
Sure. So it's not really intuitive, right? So how Bakong really ties in with insurance. I mean, if you were to just go and ask someone, they would probably wonder. The interoperability aspect of Bakong obviously is tremendous. We will link into Bakong at some point, and we will see the cost of transactions going down. We will have more access. All of that obviously will follow through. But that won't necessarily give us a huge lift because, we already work with Wing, we already work with Aklida, and these two entities have massive reach deep down into the provinces throughout the country. So even when we onboard ourselves onto Bakong, it's not going to give us a very big lift. It's not going to be a game changer. But what's going to be a game changer for us with Bakong is when it also allows for interoperability. If we can do cross-border transactions with, let's say, Malaysia, Thailand, where a lot of Cambodians actually work, and we can sell insurance that are valid in Cambodia, that becomes a tremendous, powerful product for this market, for the segment that we are targeting. So my colleagues and I, we don't want to sort of be restricted in our imagination based on what we have been doing in the past. This is a tremendous tool, a tremendous platform backed by the central bank. Hasn't happened in any country. The cryptocurrency is backed by real assets. Again, it's not something notional. So the power of Bakong is actually mind-blowing, and we are very excited when we're trying to see how best we can leverage it. We want to make an impact, so we just don't want to sort of enroll ourselves and say, we are there too with the others. That's not how we want to do it. We want to make a real impact with this platform because it is such a powerful and unique platform.
Thank you. So then, the next question would be more of an overarching question: is who is driving financial inclusion? I mean, is it industry? Is it government? Because each of the stakeholders, they have their own motivations. So what can you provide some insight on that? Manu, maybe you can.
Sure, Remy, thank you. I would say none of those. It's actually the customer and the level of financial literacy that they have. The policies do help, as I said. The policies do provide us with a very conducive, safe, secure environment to do business, and also gives a lot of customer protection. But when it comes to actually driving financial inclusion, you need to look at it. There are two types of markets when it comes to when you look around the world and see the 200 plus countries, there are two types of markets predominantly when you're talking financial inclusion. The banked population and the economies with high percentage of banked population, they behave in a certain way. And the economies with very low penetration of banking accounts, they have a very unique characteristic altogether. So what the mobile financial technology or mobile network operators have done is provide access to a digital device to the remotest of villages across the world in developing countries. Take Cambodia, for example. We have over 120% penetration when it comes to mobile phones. When it comes to digital penetration, we have 11 million Facebook accounts. We have over 60% of these mobile phones are using internet. So we have huge digital penetration as well in Cambodia. But if you look at customers who are using their digital accounts or their smartphones for financial transactions, that will come drastically down from the 11 million Facebook accounts that you have. Why? Because they have had their own solutions out of these digital platforms that we have provided them with. So people go on Facebook, do Facebook Live, try to sell a commodity, the micro SMEs, which is the 98% of Cambodia's SME segment. So they will go on Facebook, then they will advertise their products. They will tell them, please send money to me on my phone number through an agent in your village. So the person goes on ground, hands over physical fiat currency over the counter to an agent. That agent does a digital transaction to the person who's trying to do a transaction on Facebook. And then that transaction gets fulfilled, right? So what drives financial inclusion is, so what has happened is, what we have captured in this transaction is the mobile number from a village that has sent money at a certain date, at a certain time, a certain amount to another person. You don't have the psychodemographic profiling that you might require to come up with a more sophisticated financial product for this person that could have made the person's life a little better. Now, that's the next phase of financial inclusion that we need to drive. The biggest barrier for that is, or biggest driver for that is financial literacy. Thank you, Rin.
Okay, good. Then I'm going to ask the next question. If we were to throw out a what if scenario, if we were to throw out, say, what if Cambodia magically became financially literate overnight? How would this affect your business? Does anybody want to take this question?
No, okay.
Dara?
Since I finished the last one, so maybe I can start with the next one. So not only the mobile financial transactions, but the overall economy will skyrocket. Just imagine, now today when we look at the loan distribution in Cambodia, it is still concentrated in towns where there is a physical presence of a financial institution. Now, if every Cambodian knows the importance of opening a formal relationship with the financial institution and the benefits that can come with it, And in the remotest of villages now will have access to finance through digital lending, digital savings, insurance cover, and so on and so forth, and which they can buy themselves on their smartphones that already process. Just imagine the kind of economic growth that can happen when that happens.
Great. Mongdara, you wanted to say something?
To add on to Manu Valid's points, I totally aligned. I think business will become easier for us, the FIs. We will be able to focus on R&D, bring more innovative products. We will definitely roll out, more sophisticated product to cater more to the consumers. So I think one of the challenges that we facing, and this is going back to financial literacy, we have a mandate and collective efforts to raise financial literacy, in order to enable, this more broader and wider. So definitely, if we would become financially literate overnight, that would be awesome, Remy.
Let's pray for that, right? Okay.
Well, if I may add, I have a...
Yes.
I broadly agree. Absolutely, financial literacy helps and so forth. But it's not that the financial literacy comes first and then we sort of set up our mobile financial services and that sort of thing. We have to be mindful that the financial needs are kind of universal, right? So they're there, they exist. It's latent because we don't have the products, we don't have the platforms to address them. So it really, the responsibility is on us to take that into account and sort of start with simpler products. For example, with payments, there's already been tremendous progress. And probably the next step is, how do we do that with credit? Now that we have a credit bureau, can we sort of get the data in one place and assign credit lines to people even before they ask for loans? So how do we have visibility on cash flow of SMEs? That sort of a thing, right? And then we start building out the products and platforms that bring people along, rather than saying it's the financial literacy that will lead to the explosion in financial inclusion. It sounds a bit like putting the cart before the horse sort of a thing. So the cause and the effect thing. But absolutely, I do agree that financial literacy is very, very important, because it sort of tells people what kind of tools they can use. But it's really something that follows.
So Mr. Sanjay, I believe Prudential is developing some kind of AI app. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that I said at the start was one of the ambitions of Prudential is to make healthcare accessible and affordable, empower people to take control of it. So one of the apps that we have launched is Pulse, which is 100% AI based. You can create your digital twin, if you will, on the app. So you answer a bunch of questions and your profile gets created. And as you use that app more and more, let's say if you go for a run, the app will pick it up and will sort of build it into the impact that it has on your overall health profile. So as time goes along, you will get more and more accurate information on your general health profile. So it's a very powerful tool. It is, again, available to all. It's free. It sort of drives the importance of protection. And as I said at the start, financial inclusion without removing financial vulnerabilities is not possible. So I would urge as many people as possible to use that app to sort of address these issues.
Okay, great. One of the reasons, or the main reason I would say, that we're all online is, but there seems to be some glimmer of hope, and I just wanted to get some feedback on will we turn the 2021 here? Will we turn the corner? Because we have 4 strong vaccine candidates that are coming online as we speak, and governments are passing emergency use approvals on a daily basis. How does COVID affect your financial inclusion programs, and what does 2021 look like? Maybe COVID will go away. Can Mong Nguyen?
Yeah, thank you. I think COVID actually bring, also not bring, but I think reinforce the digital platform, where because people actually now don't cannot go out or don't want to go out as it used to be. I think it does push people to basically adopting more technologies, online payments to transact, which I think is the enforcement, I think, from these pandemics. I think, however, it does, I think, impact quite significantly toward low educated or low income household, where they either doesn't know how to do it or have no means to actually doing it, and they rely on the trust of human being. And I think trust is a big or very important. Even though they are literate or financial literate, I think trust is different. If you don't trust, you don't do it. That's why, I think Cambodia have 11-12 million Facebook users, because I don't lose anything by using Facebook, but I would not, sign up myself using someone else's app with my money without trust, right? So I think trust is a big component in addition to what we are talking about. And I do hope, I think the 2021 will turn out to be a fast recovery. I think with all the vaccine available, hopefully in the next few months. However, we have to be cautious that, the vaccine would not be available for the vast, I think, majority of people probably toward Q2, Q3 next year. So I think we probably will have to live with this, new normal kind of issue, at least I think on the first half year. And I think the impacts from this, 1.5 years of the COVID toward, economy, income, is actually would not end or would not recover by mid next year. So I think the financial impacts to those families will prolong, or I think the consequence of the pandemic will prolong. So I think the impacts of getting people to actually on board to the financial inclusion, I think it become even more difficult compared to before the COVID. So I think we have to work a lot harder, I think, as a sector, governments and private sectors, to actually be able to achieve that, because I think it had been slowed down and impacts the whole economy.
Great. Looks like we're nearing the end of our session. I just have one last question that I'd like to pose to the panel, and I think maybe this might be a fun one. Today's theme is impact. And as I scan my computer screen here, I see some that are expats, some are local Cambodians, and someday I assume that we all may be moving on to something bigger and better outside your roles now. So I'm curious, what kind of impact or legacy do you want to be remembered for, whether it's in financial inclusion or just in this industry? I just open it to the floor, whoever wants to take this first. Manu?
Yeah, okay, I'll go first. Yeah, so Wing is already a case study for the rest of the world to emulate, even before I joined the organization. So over 10 million people already use Wing, etc. So I would like to be remembered as the person who drove the second financial inclusion wave in Cambodia. In my opinion, the first phase of financial inclusion is already done. People do have easy access to financial services in Cambodia. It has different challenges associated with it, but there is a second financial inclusion wave that I expect to take place in the next 3 to 5 years. And that is where the 7 to 8 million new generation Cambodians will join that change that is going to take place. And then we will have the existing youth, the 10 million users who are here, who will actually go in for, as Sanjay mentioned, different products and services that we have. So that second financial inclusion wave, I hope I'm a part of that.
Great, great. Mr. Sanjay?
Well, our ambition is very simple and very clear. We want to make healthcare accessible and affordable to all Cambodians. It's as simple as that.
Great, great. Mong Zada?
For me, a bit differently, I would like people to recognize my effort in supporting women in tech in the Cambodian workforce. I'm a big fan, yes, and since, as you can see among the panel discussion, I'm the only woman, so I would like to leave that legacy part of my financial inclusion journey in Cambodia.
Awesome, awesome. Mong Sotirot?
Yep, I think from the credit bureau point of view, what we want our audience to remember is seeing us as the infrastructure to support the financial system, as we have been doing already, that we already have to promote Cambodia to get the rank of 7 in access to finance already. And then we want to bring ourselves to be a body that can eliminate, that can reduce the financial, that can reduce the information asymmetry by introducing a lot of solutions to the financial sector. Yeah.
Okay, Mong Sapir.
Yes, for Aklida Bank is we have set our great ambition, and it's a great opportunity for us that we are by the COVID-19 we set it's a power to push our bank to try our best to find best solution for our Cambodian customers on board in the digital channel, and we also connect with each other along the strategy of the Bakong backbone, and also with this backbone we try and we are willing to connect with the ASEAN countries so that our country, our people are not alone. Thank you.
Great, great. Mong Wadan.
Yeah, I would want to see that, you know, our customers see us as a partner who will be with them to actually you know, support them, assist them, and offer them one-stop shop to enable their wish and enable their dream to be achieved by themselves through our you know, service we can offer and support.
Great, great. So as we close out today's session, I would sincerely like to thank all the panelists. Thank you for joining. Also like to thank the event organizers, CAFT, NBC, ABC, and I hope that this session was an insightful one and meaningful one. And with that, please stay safe and healthy as well. And with that, Som Akut and Som Jumriblia. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Rami. Goodbye.